Hi guys, my name is Crystal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome old subscribers, welcome new. If you like my videos, please press the like button and please do subscribe. Alexa, what's the time please?
The time is 10:35 a.m.
I've just come back from walking Max on around the Rochester Riverside. It's freezing cold again. So going back to my last video, I was talking about Noele Gordon, who was an actress that played Meg Mortimer in Crossroads, the soap opera. It actually finished in the 80s, the original, and it was rehashed in the early 2000s, I think. And Noele Gordon actually died in 1984, I believe. Alexa, when did the actress Noele Gordon of Crossroads die?
33 years old. She died in 1959 of leukemia.
No, that's wrong. That's actress Noele Gordon Cross died of leukemia. So there are other Noele Gordons, you have to be careful. So the actress... Alexa, how old was the actress Noele Gordon out of Crossroads?
From wikipedia.org. Gordon died on December 1st, 2020, at the age of 72.
So guys, you have to be very careful when you speak to Alexa how you word what you're saying. She's full of knowledge. She's actually full of good knowledge, but you have to be careful what you word. Alexa, when did the actress Noele Gordon, who played Meg Mortimer in Crossroads, die?
From fandom.com. Noele Gordon was the actress who played Meg Mortimer Meg Richardson until 1975, from the show's first episode in 1964 to 1981, followed by a brief return in 1983.
So, anyway, Meg Mortimer has been long dead. Very good actress. I used to watch Crossroads. I was born in 1968, so in the 1980s I was like a teenager when I watched Crossroads. I remember it well. And Benny, the large comic actor, the Benny, he had a beanie hat, a big guy with a black beanie hat on his head, Benny. So I obviously remember that. So, Noele Gordon was in the newspapers yesterday. She's an actress that played Meg Mortimer, who's been long dead. Now, Helena Bonham Carter has brought back this actress to life. So she's had her hair probably dyed, or whether it's a wig, I don't know. The Crossroads Motel. So that was in the papers yesterday. My mum will remember, my mum Jennifer will remember Crossroads. She's 76, my mum will remember it as well. Also in the paper yesterday was a piece on Charles and Camilla, and Charles is wearing his shades in this photograph, and he stood alongside his wife, the Queen Consort Camilla, and it says, the Queen Consort gets her cop new job as Charles's chauffeur. Camilla's bodyguard is now a Kingsman. The Queen's Consort's former bodyguard has been made the King's new head driver. Former firearms officer Mark Andrews will provide Charles and Camilla with extra security alongside police bodyguards. Sources claimed he would jump in front of a flying bullet for them. His appointment is said to be part of a Camilla-led shake-up of Buckingham Palace staff. Mr Andrews was head of a police personal protection team before retiring from the Met last year, aged 60. He spent about 20 years guarding the royal family and is said to have had a particularly close working relationship with Camilla. He will not carry a gun in his new role as chauffeur. But one source said Camilla knows he would leap in front of a flying bullet for the king and her if he had to. In 2010, rioters attacked the royal limo as she and Charles were driven to a London theatre. The source went on, Camilla was particularly shaken. It enhanced her awareness about security, and she came to place great trust and reliance in Mark. Former Scotland Yard Commander John O'Connor said, he is clearly trusted and highly regarded by them, but there is the added importance of security, especially with the coronation coming up. He replaces Charles's own long-time head driver, Tim Williams, who is retiring. However, his appointment is said to have put noses out of joint among some Buckingham Palace staff. They fear being replaced by royal household colleagues at Clarence House, where Charles and Camilla still reside. Camilla is determined to keep trusted aides and staff by her side. One insider said it's causing disquiet below stairs. Buckingham Palace said, we do not discuss individual members of staff. Right. When I went on the train to London, St Pancras, to visit my son a couple of Saturdays ago, I was sat behind a couple who kept talking about a rug doctor. A rug doctor. Now, a rug is a nickname for a wig, a toupee, a rug, a wig, a toupee. A man that's gone bald years ago used to put a toupee on his head, or a wig. It's usually to cover up a bald head or some part of a balding head, a wig, a hairpiece. My hair is 100% real. It always have been. I have been very lucky with my hair since I was a child. I've had curly hair, thick curly hair, because I took after my father Derek, who had thick curly hair. So did my grandma Kath, who had Irish blood in her, and she had orange fiery red hair, and it was thick up until the day my Gran Kath Trower died. She had a thick head full of hair. She was very, very lucky. My Nan Kath died aged 92 in a care home in Birchington-on-Sea, which is obviously near Kent. It's a train ride away. My gran was taken in by my parents when my father Frank died up in his house at 83 Stillness Road, London. He passed away in London in his house. My nan obviously couldn't, she was 92, and my dad and mum took my gran in at 55 Victoria Road a long time before I came down, because my nan passed away while I was in Gloucester. So my nan passed away in a care home in Birchington-on-Sea when I was up in Gloucestershire with my ex-husband, and I remember sending a really, really lovely bouquet of flowers from Interflora to my nan's funeral to put on the coffin. So my nan lived to 92. She'd had a mastectomy, she had one of her breasts removed, she had phlebitis of the leg, it was bandaged, and she still managed to maintain great mobility up until her old age. It was my father Derek that put Kath in a care home, that's what my mum told me. With my granddad's money that he left behind, they bought my nan a house opposite them in Victoria Road, and she lived there for a while, but she became scared about living there, so they moved my nan in with them and sold that house. And my nan, I think she had stages of Alzheimer's and dementia, and they had to put my nan in a care home. But she had very, very thick hair, she was very strong and resilient, and she lived to 92. And my dad had his mother's hair, because he had thick curly hair, and I inherited it from my dad. When my dad died, he had long grey hair, and it was thick and curly, because I remember seeing it when he was led out in the coffin in the Co-op funeral service in Chatham, in there. So this is my own hair. I might have dyed it ginger, but it is all my own hair. So it was rather annoying to go on a train ride up to London with people behind me talking about rugs, rug doctors. My mum, Jennifer, suffers from alopecia, right? And I can't help thinking it was brought on by visits to the hairdresser when I was a little girl. Every week to the hairdresser. Because it's funny, where she's gone bald is where she would have sat under a hairdryer. Because in the 70s, they had these old hair dryers where you'd sit and have the hood over your head. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but they used to stick a hooded hair dryer over your head. And where my mum has gone bald in places is obviously where the hair dryer was over her head at long periods of time. So that's what I think it is, because hair dryers, that, you know, if you have them on such a high heating setting, they can burn the top of your head. And if you burn your scalp and damage hair follicles, the hair is not going to grow through them, is it? So obviously her hair has been damaged to years of going to the hairdressers, of being under heated dryers. If you damage hair follicles, it's not going to grow. So this is my hair. I'm 54 and I'm very lucky at the moment. But when women go through the perimenopause to the menopause, women's hair can go thin and they can get bald patches and lose their hair. And I'm dreading it. I'm absolutely dreading it. I think every woman dreads that. But we're not taught for later stages of life. We're not taught at school. We're just not taught about it. So it comes in as, to me, as a terrible shock, because I think I'm going through I'm going to have my menopause later than other women. It's going to be later, because I'm still having periods at the age of 54. They're showing no sign of drying up. They're getting heavier and more painful. And they're starting to go back to once every month. So I'm going to have long onset menopause. I know I am. I'm going to suffer longer as well. It's annoying. You're not told what you're going to go through. You're not. I know my mum went through a hell of a bad time, but she lost weight. She lost weight. My mother did. I'm putting weight on. I don't really take after my mum. I take after my dad, and obviously he's a bloke and he didn't go through the menopause. And my nanny's long been dead. She died in the 1980s. I've got really no one to go to for advice, because my mum I can't get anything out of my mum, because when I speak to my mum, I can't speak. She'll speak over me and I can't speak. So I've really got no one to look to for advice. I've got no aunties, no nans left, they're all dead. I've got nobody, my sister's dead, I've got nobody to get advice from. So I have to go down the internet or go to the doctors. I had HRT patches and I just didn't get on with them. They kept giving me headaches every couple of days and I couldn't deal with it. I'd rather go without that. I just feels like I've got a non-stop period. It just doesn't stop. And it doesn't give you freedom, if you know what I mean. Just stuck wearing sanitary protection most of the month. You know, I don't feel freedom. I just feel like I'm trapped in this fucking body that keeps bleeding. I've been out, I've taken Max for a walk, it's cold. I've got nothing planned for today. Basically, until I sort out what's going on with my periods, etc. It's wrecking my life. Because I'll bleed for over a month. It's just wrecking my life, because it feels like I'm having a period every couple of weeks, and I've got the bloated, the mood swings, and I just feel terrible. And I'm not good to be around when I feel grumpy and miserable. I'm just not good to be around anybody. And you don't feel like dancing and doing things when you're bleeding, do you? You don't feel like it. So I'm just going to get on with the rest of my day. I dyed my hair ginger for a change. I mean, when this grows out, I mean, there's other colours to dye it. I just tried to cheer myself up. I was tired of being called a granny. Because although I am a granny and I don't see my grandkids, I didn't feel like a granny, an old granny. I wanted to feel like I've still life in myself yet, if you know what I mean. I don't want to be classed as a granny sitting down there with knitting needles. My mum's 76. She's near enough the same age as Camilla and Charles themselves. So she was obviously, when Charles was born, my mum was born not long after. I'm more of the age range of Prince Edward, who's 58. My mum is Camilla and Charles's age. And, Charles and Camilla are old, but you don't, Granny and Granddad. But they still go to functions. They still go to events. They're not too old to get themselves to concerts and to places, are they? I mean, why should somebody say that because somebody's over 50, like they're no use anymore to society? I mean, it's ridiculous. Right, guys, I'm going to get on with the rest of my day. Like I said, I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee, but there's not much I can do by myself on my own. And it's the same repetitive thing every day. And my mum ringing as per usual, and nobody else. See you later.